Hi, I'm Leslie Anderson for Food for You TV, and I'm here with registered dietitian Lynn Sheppers, and she's going to be talking with us about food allergies. Now, we hear so much about food allergies these days. Can you tell us a little bit about what a food allergy is, first off?
A food allergy is when our immune system reacts to certain food proteins. When this happens, our body releases antibodies and also certain chemicals like histamine that causes the symptoms of food allergies.
Okay. Now, a lot of times we hear about intolerance and allergies too, and so what's the difference between the two?
Well, food allergies, being that it is involved with our immune system, it's very life-threatening, or it can be. A food intolerance is more digestive and deals with the GI, so the symptoms are much different.
Okay, let's run through it's 8, right?
Eight. There are 8 foods that 90% of Americans, if they have an allergy, these 8 foods involved.
Okay.
So the first one is milk, and then we move to eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, soy nuts, we have fish, wheat, and shellfish.
Okay, can we talk a little bit about each one individually and what people encounter when they're allergic to something?
Sure. Well, with milk, we have a true allergy, and then we also have lactose intolerance. So that's
Right.
2 different things. Now, with the lactose intolerance, you're going to see more of the GI, which is the stomach cramps, the upset tummies with kids, and a lot of the bloating. An allergy, you might see eczema and hives come out with milk.
Oh, right. Okay. And then what about eggs?
Eggs are difficult because they're in a lot of baked goods and a lot of cooking. So if you have an egg allergy, you have to be very careful with checking food labels and making sure that they're not in certain products that you're eating.
Now, you were talking to me earlier about how eggs are, you mentioned food labels, how eggs are labeled on different
Correct.
foods.
Eggs can be, if you read an ingredient statement, they're not always labeled as eggs. Sometimes they're labeled as albumin or some other name. And so a lot of times when you have the allergy and you read the food label, you really have to know all of the different names that manufacturers are going to list the eggs as. And now the federal law put allergen statement on every product now, so it's a lot easier for if you have a food allergy to read the label and see.
Great.
So as in this wheat, there is right underneath the ingredient statement, there's an allergen statement, and it says contains wheat, soy, and milk. So this product is clearly labeled, and it's a lot easier now for consumers to read the labels.
Tell me a little bit about the nuts. There's a lot of different varieties and a lot of concern with an allergy to nuts.
Right. The concern here with nuts is that the symptoms are life-threatening. So a lot of people with a nut allergy tend to have the thickening of the tongue, the closing of the throat, and eventually an anaphylactic shock, which results in death. So the peanuts and the tree nuts, the fish and the shellfish all have the same properties of being life-threatening, versus the milk and eggs, the soy nuts and wheat are more of digestive and kind of resemble the same symptoms as intolerance. However, you can get the eczema and the hives, which are a little bit more mild symptoms than the life-threatening ones.
Now, with the nuts, why is this allergy so difficult?
Well, the peanuts are very difficult because they have small residue that can get into plants during manufacturing. So a lot of people, if you're allergic to a peanut, you can't even have food that's manufactured in the same plant as something that contains peanuts in the plant. Even if the machinery has been cleaned, that small residue can get in between and get onto the product.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so the fish, let's talk a little bit about the fish and the shellfish. Is that difficult? Because, they say so much that we're supposed to have fish, the proteins that you get from fish. Tell me a little bit about the issues with fish.
The fish is the same thing, being that it's more life-threatening symptoms. It's a little bit more difficult. If you have a fish allergy, you really want to make sure that you're avoiding it completely. One more difficult thing about fish is there's a lot of fish oils out there.
Right.
So you need to be careful about those as well, not just the actual fish product.
When you say fish, is it all fish or is it just certain fish?
It's usually all fish,
Really?
depending upon the body and what. Everybody is a little bit different, and so if you're unsure, it's better to just avoid it because the symptoms can be very life-threatening and result even in death.
So even fish that you catch in a lake and fish that you catch in the sea, they're the same? You have
Correct.
the same allergy to it?
Correct.
Huh. Okay, and then the shrimp and the shellfish.
The shellfish.
Tell me a little bit about that. What kinds of shellfish? It's not just shrimp, it's other
It's lobster, it can be
Lobster,
crab.
crab.
Yep, absolutely. So if you have an allergic reaction to one shellfish, you probably have it to them all. And so strict avoidance, again, is best.
Okay. And then the wheat allergy, now we've been hearing quite a lot about that lately.
Yes,
Tell a
the
little bit
wheat
about
is
that.
linked to a gluten allergy, which is celiac disease. So we've been hearing a lot about celiac disease and gluten intolerance. It's difficult because wheat is in so many different products and baked goods, and you really have to read labels and be careful about what different names that wheat is called with manufacturers.
Okay. Now, is there anything else that we need to know about food allergies?
Well, you know, strict avoidance, like I said, if you are unsure, do not eat it. There's just too big of a risk there. Also, the cross-contamination. If you are eating in a restaurant and you ask for a peanut-free or let them know that you need a peanut-free entree, making sure that the restaurant understands the cross-contamination within the kitchen as well, the utensils, the plates even, all of that can be an issue for some people.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the symptoms. I mean, if somebody was at my house and we accidentally put, peanut in, it kind of rubbed off. I know they use peanut oil in a lot of things. What would they encounter? What are some of the symptoms they would have?
The symptoms kind of vary depending upon which food and the person. It can be mild symptoms all the way to very severe symptoms, including death. So some of the mild symptoms would be eczema, hives, maybe some vomiting, stomach upset. Some of the more severe symptoms would be thickening of the tongue, tingling of the mouth, closing of the throat, eventually anaphylactic shock, resulting in death. So it can really vary depending upon the allergy and the person.
And what should someone do if that was obviously call the doctor, call 911? Is there something that they can do to prevent or help out?
Well, actually, if you know that you have a food allergy, it's very wise to carry an epinephrine pen, and you just immediately give the epinephrine. You still need to call 911 and follow up with emergency care, but that epinephrine is kind of slows the allergy down.
Okay, and what is that?
It's medication in a pen form, and so you just inject it right into the bloodstream, and it immediately helps the anaphylactic shock.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
I never knew that. Well, thank you so much, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Be sure to tune into other segments on Food for You TV, and remember, you are what you eat.